Hello and welcome back. I am so grateful for your attention. And today's conversation is stimulated and inspired by the fact that Valentine's Day is upon us. I remember when I was little, I would wake up the morning of Valentine's Day and my dad would have a little heart-shaped box on the kitchen table with my breakfast, and in it would be a pair of little pink earrings or whatever he decided to gift us on that particular Valentine's Day. Since then, it's been a holiday that I probably love the most, and people that have been my partners during Valentine's Day have often said, oh, it's just a way to get people to spend money. And yet there is a deep significance for me of celebrating and giving the gift of love, of showing that yeah, it might be a Hallmark holiday, but it sure feels nice to be thought of. So today's conversation is around relationships. One of my favorite poets, David White, says there are 3 marriages. He says we have a marriage to ourselves, to our work, and to our love. Let's dive into that. So the first relationship, marriage, is to ourselves. What a rough road that can be. And to learn to love the self is so challenging when sometimes it's messy and sometimes we're judgy or jealous or sad. And it's a very fine balance to find the edge of self-betterment and self-hatred. And I think self-betterment often is masked by this idea that we're just growing and evolving. A teacher of mine spoke really profoundly about this topic, and although self-improvement might sometimes be propelled by self-hatred or self-criticism, there comes a moment when there is a knowingness inside of us that there's more, that we were put on this planet and we could do better. When we know better, we do better. And I'm not talking to any external person, but our own self. And when we tuck ourselves in at night, what lies in our head? What's the conversation? Self, in spiritual context, is a high self. The self that we want to be more often. The part of us that is kind, gentle, non-judgmental, available, and very loving. Now, it is easy to spot that part of ourselves when things are going well. But when things go poorly, how then do we relate to ourselves? A great way to start to build self-esteem is through confidence. Confidence that what we say and what we do line up. If we say that we're going to start to read before bed, then we do that. When we say that we'll start a meditation practice, then we do that. And we know that we are true to our own word. We close the loop, we get a hit of dopamine, and we feel confident in who we are. I've heard a lot of people talk about loving the self and getting to know the self as doing hard things, learning to do hard things, and watching ourselves as we learn, as we grow, as we stumble. It is not about perfection, it is about progress. I recently posted something on Instagram and I'd like to share it. I cut myself, not with razor blades, but with my inner dialogue. I open Instagram and I see perfect bodies and happy families. You are not enough. Slice. My son cries, I get angry instead of tender. You're a bad mother. Stab. He chooses her over me. You're not beautiful. Cut. I berate myself for being human and nothing is ever good enough. I fight this sensitivity with toxic positivity. Be grateful. It could be worse. I examine my flaws and I mask it as growth. This way of looking outside myself to find myself is like looking at a grain of sand and mistaking it for the beach. I am so much more than this bag of bones. I'm joy and I'm love and I'm presence. What is this story costing me? Everything. Love, connection, inner peace. The pain is too much and the cost is too high. I think I'm ready to end this cycle of abuse. I've spent my whole life wishing I was taller. I wanted to be so beautiful that cars would rear end each other when I walked by. So I sought validation outside myself. Do you think I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm good enough? And I realize now that that is simply a hungry ghost that will never have enough nourishment. They say an addiction is loving something you can never get enough of. So the depth of self there is not deep enough. To ask another to prove that I'm lovable, it's not deep enough. My love and appreciation must run to my bones, to my past, and it's an everyday relationship. The word relationship is connection or association with another or self. It's an emotional connection between people, between self, and it's a sexual involvement or an affair. The word intimacy, if you break it down, into me see. This is the longest relationship that we will ever be in. And we come into the world alone, we die alone, and how will we feel on our deathbed? And how do we feel moment to moment in our own presence? Do we like the company that we keep when we're walking in nature, when we're not attached to our phones? Self-care, self-love is a big matrix. It's a Rubik's Cube that I have not yet solved, but I want to solve it. I want to learn how to love myself when I yell at my son, when he says he doesn't love me. And I no longer want to source my flame for what the outer world perceives me to be. Because I am my own owner of beautiful. You are your own owner of beautiful. So the relationship to the self is about creating some boundaries. How do you want people to treat you? And then teach them. How do you want to treat yourself? How will you nourish the body? What books will you read? And how do you perform self-care? Take yourself out on dates. Buy yourself a beautiful gift to say thank you for all your presents. The second relationship we ever have is with our work, our vocation. We spend a lot of time doing what we do, 40 hours, 60 hours a week to put a roof over our heads and put food in our bellies. But it's just another way that we exchange currency. And what is your currency? What were you put on this planet to do? For me personally, I believe that from a young age, I had an ability to make people laugh and feel at ease. For you, it could have been an abundance of optimism, extreme intelligence, the ability to observe and watch. In the tradition of priests, they are ordained, they are chosen by their community to do what it is they do. So what were you chosen by your community to do? What do you do naturally, gracefully, beautifully? and then inject that into your vocation. Be it slanging drinks, making coffees, doing plumbing in people's homes. We don't necessarily get paid for our gifts, but we can definitely pour them into every interaction that we have. There is a contagious feeling when someone loves what they're doing. It's this passion that transcends what they say. It's the essence of who they are when you're in their presence. And you know someone in your life that just exudes, embodies, walks the talk of what they love, of who they believe themselves to be. It's like they're so comfortable in their own skin, in their own style, that they're able to drop the personality and be totally present. So our work is where we make our money. We'll say that. And I believe that it should almost be a marriage of vows. What do I promise to give with my time? And in return, what is my vocation giving back to me? So it's this symbiotic relationship where everybody wins. My employer, my employees, because I am doing my work and pouring my essence into what it is I'm doing. The final relationship, marriage, is to your lover, your partner. You could think of it even your children, your parents, your best buddies, but the way that we relate to one another. And you've likely heard of the 5 love languages. We have physical touch, acts of service, quality time, gift giving, and words of affirmation. And people say that how we express love is often how we get it back. So if I really value words of affirmation and I'm in a relationship, friendship, home with people that are not expressing themselves in that way, there might be a little disconnect. So a conversation might need to happen, and on either ends of the relationship, we need to bend and modify and listen and be empathetic to the needs of the person that is right in front of us. My girlfriend and I made a joke about this, and I want to share it because I find it really funny. So we called it the 5 love languages, the real ones that nobody talks about. And instead of physical touch, we called it physical hush, meaning I will never tell you what my fantasies are, and you definitely won't tell me yours. So we'll never really be able to satisfy one another because we're not going to tell each other. The second is acts of service. So acts of service are I brush the snow off your car, I fill your car up with gas, food is in the fridge, forecasting your needs, making your life a little bit easier. And we came up with acts of disservice, meaning I will take the garbage out, but you better believe I have a little black book in my bedstand and I'm tracking it. And if you don't do your part, I will hold resentment against you because it's in my black book. Keep in mind, these are things that we don't want to do, but I think by our nature, we kind of do. Gift giving. So my dad on Valentine's Day, he gave me those beautiful pink earrings in the shape of a heart. And the joke my girlfriend and I made was gift re-giving, meaning my partner doesn't know what I like because they don't really listen to what I say. So they give me some pajamas that say juicy on the butt, and I just re-gift them. And my partner notices I'm not wearing them, but we just never talk about it. And the next is quality time, meaning we do things together that is quality. We go golfing, we walk, we do the dishes, we shop together, we hike together, we bird watch together. And my girlfriend and I said it's quantity time. I don't care if it's good or bad. I just want to know what you're doing at all times, and I want all of your time. Remember, this is the dysfunctional side of love, and I'm not a proponent of it. And then lastly, I mentioned earlier words of affirmation, and we said words of desperation. If you try to break up with me, I will scan the bottom of the ocean for reasons to make you stay. I'm sick. Something terrible just happened, so I need you to stay. So that is kind of the underbelly, the dark side of what can happen sometimes in relationships. And John Gottman and his wife have studied relationships, and they talk about the 4 horsemen that kill a relationship. And the 4 horsemen are criticism. So criticism is, I'm constantly critiquing you, the way you're dressing, the way you're acting, the way you're eating. I'm just like kind of on your case. The second is stonewalling. There is an argument and I just can't handle it. So I stonewall, I shut down, I disconnect, I give you the cold shoulder. I won't discuss. I did a course in abuse, and they said that, we see bruises on people's faces. It's clear that someone has been abused, but the silent treatment is just as bad. Because we are not communicating, we've just cut them off, they are nothing, we will not deal with it. The third is contempt, and it's far beyond criticism, and it's this annoyance when our partner feels an emotion. Like, oh, you're tired? Well, I was up all night with the kids. Oh, you're bored. Well, maybe you should read a book. So there is no sensitivity or validation for the human experience of the person that we're relating to. And then the last one is defensiveness. Man, I struggle with this one. And this is where we immediately get our back up. When our partner, our friend, someone says something to us and it's not intended as an attack, but we take it that way. So we're immediately defending our cause and ourselves. In A Course of Miracles, there's a quote, I love it, and I'm kind of free-living it, but it's, when it's real, there's nothing to defend. And I think about it often in conflict, when someone brings a problem to my attention or points out one of my flaws. Sometimes I feel like I have nothing to defend. And when I'm in that position, I know that it's real and it's true. Relationships are everything. They make up our world. In order to create life, work, ideas, we need another to help us bring it to life. So go in and do a little bit of study on how you're relating. If there is a sticky, mucky, dirty relationship that isn't quite working, perhaps take a peek and ask yourself, am I contributing to this dynamic? Maybe you're not. Maybe it's time to bow out and walk away. But maybe there are little ways in which you can reestablish your foundation and how you dance in the world. So a relationship, it's a connection, it's an association, a correlation, a bond, an alliance. And it's so important. We are belonging-based beings. That is how we fit into the world. We love and we love to love. So keep your relationship sacred and understand, like anything, it's a practice. Practicing for no other reason than the art of living better, of loving better. So happy almost Valentine's Day. And whether you are a gift giver, a toucher, not a creepy toucher, a quality time person, a words of affirmation person, show the people that you love them. And maybe ask them, how do they want to be loved? Thank you so much for your time and your attention. So much love.